And British runner Roger Bannister was warned by doctors not to even attempt running a mile in under 4 minutes because they thought it could kill him.
What did they know? Today marks 70 years since he proved them wrong. Our reporter Tim Moffat is in Oxford, where the record was set all of those years ago.
Yes, good morning to you. Outside Christchurch College in Oxford. And as you say, 70 years ago, Roger Bannister did something many people thought was impossible. He ran a mile under 4 minutes. And to mark the event today, hundreds of people will be taking part in the Bannister Community Mile. People just starting to set up the registration desks here at the moment. The race is due to happen about 9 o'clock this morning. But it was such a big deal what Roger Bannister achieved. Many people thought it was impossible. In a minute, we'll be talking to some of the organisers of today's event. But my colleague Patrick Geary has been looking at the significance of what Sir Roger Bannister did.
25-year-old Roger Bannister, third from the left, gets away at the Iffley Ground, Oxford, for the race of his life.
And so began 3 minutes 59.4 seconds of British sporting history.
Chris Brasher setting the pace in front.
There was certainly a feeling of it being a national event and something of a landmark for the country. But it had to be me attempting it, so it was entangled with my own effort.
Bannister, training to be a doctor, was trying to prove something, perhaps to himself, having slipped to fourth at the Olympics 2 years earlier. But he was also engaged in an experiment. At the time, some scientists believed you would kill yourself trying to run a mile in 4 minutes. Bannister disagreed. His friend Chris Brasher was tasked with setting the correct pace and tempering Bannister's enthusiasm.
We seemed to be going so slowly. Impatiently, I shouted faster. But Brasher kept his head and didn't change the pace.
Bannister was an amateur. Running was secondary to his studies, and he'd regard his medical career as the greater achievement of his life. But when the second pacemaker, Chris Chataway, started to tire, his moment arrived.
When my mind took over, it raced well ahead of my body and drew me compellingly forward. I felt that the moment of a lifetime had come.
I collapsed as I crossed the tape, but then I recovered sufficiently to hear him announcing in a time which, subject to ratification, will be a new world record, 3. And after that, the noise of the crowd obliterated the remainder of his announcement.
Roger Bannister had achieved a new peak in the history of sport.
It was a great surprise to me to be able to do it today, and I think I was very lucky.
As you can tell, Bannister wasn't one to oversell it, but others have compared his achievement to the conquest of Everest or the first transatlantic flight. He was simply happy to have proved his point.
I was able to retire from running with a fairly happy ending, having, I think, shown what I'd always believed, that the 4-minute mile was merely a psychological barrier, not a physical barrier. And of course, subsequent events have amply proved that.
Bannister's record was beaten just 46 days later, and Seb Coe was one of many to set new mile frontiers. But they've all run in his slipstream. Sir Roger Bannister believed that the mind should not constrain what the body can do. In that sense, he is the creator of the modern record breaker. Patrick Geary, BBC News.
Just love watching that old archive. Isn't it absolutely incredible? Delighted to be joined this morning by 3 of today's organisers of the event, Tom, Jared and Thomas. Tom, what's the plan for today? What's going to be happening?
So, yeah, 70 years since Roger Bannister set that incredible achievement, about a mile over my shoulder today, and we've organised a series of very exciting events to remember him and remember his incredible achievement. So, starting at 9 o'clock, we've got a community mile with about 1,500 runners. We've got 4 of the mile world record holders taking part in that race. We'll have Steve Cram, we'll have Hisham El Garouj, Philbert Baye, Nuruddin Morselli, the Oxford Vice-Chancellor all taking part alongside about 1,000 people from our community.
Absolutely fantastic lineup you've got there, incredible. Now, Jared, I mean, Roger Bannister, what an amazing, inspirational person he was, because he broke the record and then shortly retired and dedicated his life to medicine. What an inspiration for you as a keen athlete yourself?
Yeah, well, I think for all of us as student athletes, you know, we've got degrees, we've got our studies, and we're also really keen runners. And I think just the fact that Bannister was able to excel to such, you know, ultimate levels in two completely separate dimensions, in medicine and in running, is something that I think, you know, anyone can find incredibly inspirational.
And Thomas, for those who are taking part, they've already registered, haven't they? But people are very welcome to come along and watch and join in the celebrations today.
Yeah, well, obviously everyone's going to be running down the high street, so if those who come out of their houses and cheer people on would be great. And then in the afternoon we've got 25 track races on the same track that Roger ran his 4-minute mile, and people can come down and watch that. We've got food and drink stands, and it should be a really good afternoon. And
for you guys, because I only asked you, well, how long would it take you to run a mile? And I'm expecting about 5 or 6 minutes. You've got pretty impressive times, haven't you, for a mile?
Yeah, we're all pretty good. Yeah, I can run about 4:15 for the mile.
That would have been a world record once upon a time, about 100 years ago.
Yeah, a while ago. Yes, not today.
Yeah, and I guess, do you think that when people turn up today, you're not expecting many to break the 4 minutes? Or how regularly does it happen these days?
I mean, it's still a really, you know, it is the sort of, to be a really good middle distance runner, everyone is going to ask, have you run a sub 4-minute mile? It's still recognised as the benchmark, if you like. We will have elite women's and men's races going on later on this afternoon, and we very much hope that we'll have a few people dipping under 4 minutes at 6 p.m.
Wow, that's amazing to think that such a, you know, it's become fairly commonplace now, hasn't it? But yeah, at the time, and the mile's an interesting distance because it's not run in the Olympics, is it? Because it's an imperial measurement.
It's true, yeah. It's not run particularly often anymore, and it's something we've tried to bring back with our event, Bannister Miles, and make it more common. And I think the mile holds this kind of bizarre significance. And when we've had the record holders here the last few days, it's incredible how strongly they feel about the mile and Bannister, and how proud they are to be part of that world record holders club over the mile. And yeah, we're just incredibly proud to be celebrating that today.
Yeah, and so you should be. Tom, Jared, Thomas, thanks ever so much indeed. Best of luck with the event. Well, the race is going to start just before 9 a.m. and we'll hope to be bringing that to you live, and we'll also be talking to the son of Sir Roger Bannister and Steve Cram as well. His record in 1985 was the world record. It is still the UK record for the mile all those years later, so it's going to be great to chat to them.
Thank you, Tim. You know, you'll never come in under 4 minutes wearing your jeans, or is the plan to get changed a bit later?
Yeah, just warming up for my sub 4-minute mile I'll be running
sure.
later. Not.
Thought so. Thank you, Tim.
And the British runner, Roger Bannister, was warned by doctors not even to think about running a mile under 4 minutes because they thought it would kill him.
That's what they thought. But today marks 70 years since he proved them wrong. Our reporter, Tim Moffat, is in Oxford, taking a look at how they've been marking the occasion.
So a big day then, 70 years since one of the most significant sporting achievements ever took place, the first sub 4-minute mile. Steve Cram, delighted to meet you, and some very special guests as well. What's going to be happening here today?
Well, they brought all us old record holders out. I've got Hisham El Garouj, the current world mile record holder, Craig Masbach, who actually studied here in Oxford and knows all about the history of Roger Bannister. But we're all here just to celebrate 70th anniversary of what was one of the greatest sporting achievements. You know, Roger was an incredible character. There's a whole host of mile races on the track this afternoon, culminating with an elite race at the exact time he broke that world record. But we're also having these community miles, which is great. I'm sure Roger would have loved to have seen so many people coming in, taking part in his city.
Now, the current world record, a bit lower than it was under 4 minutes, wasn't it? What's it like to be here today to celebrate this incredible anniversary?
I'm here because we love Bannister, we respect him, and we consider him as our spiritual father. We are here to celebrate his 70 years, and I'm happy to be here with all my friends and share the values of sport, especially for running.
Craig, you've run many sub-4s, haven't you, in your time, and of course you now commentate on sport. What's it like for you? And you studied in Oxford as well.
You know, I ran my first sub 4-minute mile on the Iffley Road track, and Sir Roger was there the day that I did it, and he inspired me as he's inspired millions over the generations. He was the inventor of the notion of sport for all, and motivated me to go into athletics administration in the United States. So to see everyone here honoring his legacy is a great opportunity. Yeah.
Well, you know what? A lot of people are ready to go. They're raring to go. Steve, I think you're going to go start. You go and start the race. Have a fantastic time. And Craig, I mean, commentating on a race, are you tempted to grab the mic and commentate on this one?
You know, I'll do what I did in some of the great races that I was part of, some of the world record races with Sebastian Coe. I'll run near the back and see the others up front.
Very good. And it was such an amazing achievement, wasn't it? And many people just thought it wasn't humanly possible.
You know, the record came down very slowly, and during the time of from 1936 forward to 1954, some scientists started saying that if someone ran under 4 minutes, their heart would explode. It would be impossible. But Roger Bannister was the perfect person because as a doctor, he understood the physiology of sport, and he debunked all of those ideas and trained specifically to break 4 minutes in 1954, and of course delivered a sporting achievement that's unparalleled.
Sure. And the first time you did it, what was that like for you?
Well, you know, anybody who runs the mile has that goal of breaking 4 minutes. So to join that group, as I did way back in 1979, but to have him present was really special.
They're off. Look, here they go.
Well, I'm supposed to be with them, so
you better join in.
Let me jump in.
Very
okay.
lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Tim.
Indeed. Well, there you go. 70 years on from an incredible sporting achievement. Many other people here taking part as well. The community Bannister Mile, as it's known, and there'll be a whole day of sporting events at the Iffley Road Sports Track, where that historic race took place 70 years ago today.